Good morning, friends. Welcome to GoOnlineTrainings.com. So today, let us understand some more transformations of SSIS. So one of the transformation that is very, very important for us is that lookup transformation. So performs a lookup by comparing the input with the reference table data. So the reference table can be a cache file or a SQL table or a query. By default, this treats rows without matching entries as errors must be configured for error output. Lookup data is case sensitive data whenever you wanted to compare. So what is the meaning of lookup transformation? Let us understand. For example, I have a source data. The source data is this, and it may be a text file or Excel file or OLEDb SQL Server table, Oracle table. It can be anything. So I have a lookup transformation. So lookup transformation always will have a reference table. The reference table is having city column, and this is the data we have in the lookup. So what is going to happen when you have a lookup transformation and you'll have this data and this data. So we have to compare this column and this column data. If PNA and PNA and CHEN and CHEN is not there and BLR and BLR we have. So wherever you have matching entries that are called as a success rows. All the success rows, for example, I have, BLR is there, BLR. So this will be a success row that will be going to one destination. It could be any destination, whatever you wanted to keep there. And the unmatched data means here it is treated as error rows. So error rows means not exactly errors here. Try to understand. Error means unmatched data. For example, I have PNA, PNA and this PNA, it is a lookup case sensitive. So definitely this is not going to be matched. Okay. Lookup is similar to inner join of RDBMS. Lookup gets exact matches. It is a case sensitive. So PNE will not match. PNE will be going to the error output and unmatched rows. And CHN you have here, but CHN unfortunately we don't have here. So that city is not there. So city codes, all of them are okay. So that is not there. And you have Bangalore, and you have again Bangalore, you have Hyderabad, you have Chennai. So wherever the matching entries are there, that data would go here, unmatched data would come here, but you have to configure this. So by default, all these are errors. Errors means it is not exactly errors, it is unmatched data. So by default, whenever you get the unmatched data, it is going to fail. That is what is the thing. Must be configured for error output. So that is the thing. So by default, if you don't have the matching entries, it will be giving you an error. So if you don't need that kind of a behavior, then you can say ignore failure. That is the second option. Ignore failure. The third option would be you can, take all these error rows, unmatched rows, redirect these rows to no match output. That is also one more thing you can have. So you can configure just like that. So lookup is completely a searching operation. So purely some kind of a joinings of RDBMS. For example, you have 10 here, you have 10 there. 10 and 10 is getting matched. 20 and 20 getting matched. So all the matched records would go to the success table. All the unmatched data will go to the error. So by default, it is going to fail if you don't configure properly error data. So either you have to say ignore failure or you have to say redirect rows to no match output. If you simply leave it, it is going to fail. And the comparison is completely case sensitive. So this is what is, you have to understand when we are talking about lookup transformation. Are you clear? So now let us understand one small lookup transformation and let us perform this. Okay. Now go and take a new package, and what I'm trying to do, take a data flow task and go here, and here I'm going to use this as a lookup, right? So lookup transformation and data flow task is there. Double click on this. Now let me take one of the files which we have, I think here. So let us take this file only. This file only I wanted to take. Simply go here and drag and drop flat file source here. So go double click on this and click new and give name as a flat file source and browse, and you have to choose your file there. So when you come here, so let us choose this file, and column names in the first data row you have to check that, and you have some department ID. So this is what I wanted to use. Now preview, this is my data. When you have this data, source data, you definitely should have one reference table for the lookup to work. So let me go to the common transformation, drag and drop lookup, and create a blue pipe. Double click on this, and here you have different caching techniques. Full cache you have, partial cache you have, and no cache. This is the default behavior. We have to discuss these caching techniques, and when you come down below, specify how to handle rows with no matching entries. So by default, the package will fail. So if it finds no matching entry, it's going to fail. I don't want to fail the package. I have to see ignore failure. That means what? You wanted to just leave the unmatched data. Or you can say redirect rows to error output. Error means the red pipe we are able to see in that each and every transformation. Or you can say redirect rows to no match output. Let me keep this. So first full cache. The second option you have to, by default you will be able to see like this. It is going to fail. I don't want to fail this package because of the no matching entries. So I wanted to put them in separate basket. Now click on connection. I have to have one more, reference table. It may be in company database or some other database. So let me create a, I wanted to have, so this is the data. I'm just, giving it to you. So here, this is my reference table. I have 10, 20, 30, 40, but unfortunately 11 and 12 I don't have here. So these are no matching entries for me. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. So create a reference table. So now let me take this as my code. So take this and go here. So now let me take a new window and ensure that you are in company database, or you can be in any other database also fine. But this is my code. I would like to include. So create a department table. Now let me insert this data, and this department table would be a reference table for you, and department ID would be a this one for you. So let me go here and go to this, and you have a department table. You can preview this data. Okay, or if you need only this column, you can also write a query here. So simply go here, and you should be able to write the query. And for example, I need only the department ID. You can simply say department ID like that. Okay, Control C, and you're able to keep this there so that you can have only that column there. So okay, you can just go to the columns, and you can say this department ID and this department ID. You can just link like this. When you link, it is saying cannot map the input column department ID to the column lookup column because the data type do not match. Why? Because I have declared this column as integer. This is an integer column here. And when I go back to my package, now I'm getting this column department ID here, purely string data because notepad data. We are getting the data from the flat file source. Definitely it is not going to work because the source data is string data, and lookup reference table we are having integer data. So it is not going to work. You have to have a data conversion. So you have to use data conversion transformation and take and double click on this and take the department ID, and department ID I wanted to make a new department ID, and here I wanted to make 4 byte signed integer because integer is 4 bytes, right? So 4 byte signed integer is the thing you have to use. So I have converted the department ID to new department ID. It is 4 byte signed integer because I know that the integer is 4 bytes. How do you know? Just simply, you go here, you go to this table and go to the department. Where is department? Now go to the columns. Now you should be able to get the integer length. Are you able to get? If not, uh, write sp underscore help. Okay, say department here and execute this. When you execute, automatically department is integer, length it is telling you 4 bytes. Okay, so now where we had given how much? 100 bytes. Okay, now it is there. So if you are not able to understand whether it is a 2 bytes or the 4 bytes, and the table you have to use like this, sp underscore help department. Okay, this is the better way to get. Now I know it is 4 bytes, so I have chosen 4 byte signed integer here, and now take this and join and double click on this. Now you go to the connection. We have taken only the department ID. That's fine. Or if you wanted to take entire table and go here and choose entire table, say department table. Okay, anything is fine. Now go to the columns. Now you have to take new department ID and department ID you wanted to match. Okay, if you need any column from the second table and check this, otherwise just leave it as it is. Okay, for example, I need both columns from this table. You can just have it this. I wanted to have like this. So this department ID I'm getting from the reference table, and the department name you're also getting from the reference table. If you wanted to keep, you can just keep like this. Otherwise, so advanced, so nothing is there. So that's it. So only you have to go to general tab, make sure full cache or a partial cache or redirect rows, and you have to come here, make the connection, and you can also write a query here. And in the columns you have to drag and drop. So when you dragging and dropping, take this link. Many people what they do is that they take the table and they're trying to leave it here. So it is not going to work out. Take this and take this, go till this and leave. Okay, so ensure that you have to drag and drop neatly, otherwise you're not going to get this line. So go and go and go and go, leave here. Okay, so like that you should be able to get and click on OK. Now it is ready for me. So go to format and auto layout diagram. Now I wanted to have a destination here. So let me take a destination. So look up what data you wanted to have. Match data, no match data. Match data I wanted to have. Double click on this, go to company only. So let me create a new table. So I'll say LKP match, lookup match. So you have department ID, department, new department ID, lots of department IDs are there. Let it be there. So click on mapping and let me take one more OLEDb destination and double click on this. It is unmatched data. You can say lookup no match. Okay. You have a lookup match and you have a lookup no match and click on OK. Now save and run the package. Now in the matching entries we have 5 and unmatching entries we have 3 rows, and stop debugging. Go here, let us understand the things here. Okay, so start. So this is lookup, unmatched data because department ID, this is not at all there. And let us see. Let us copy and paste lookup match. That is also execute. So lookup match, you're going to have 10 and 10, and the sales department 2020, like that you should be able to have. So this is what's going to happen when you have lookup matching entries and a lookup no match entries. So let us understand what is the full cache now and what is the partial cache and all of that. Okay. So when you implement a full cache, what's going to happen? It is a default mode. In this mode, entire reference table is loaded onto the cache during the pre-execution phase. Now, what is going to happen? You think that you have some data in the source and you have some huge reference table is available, and that is not in your machine. That means it is not, in my machine. I have to connect to some other remote server and get the data from there. Think like that. So the reference table is available with you. I am in Hyderabad, but unfortunately my package is running in Hyderabad in my laptop, right? So what I have to do, I have to connect to your machine and get all the data, and locally have to keep the reference table data in my machine. So that is what is called full cache. Full cache means wherever the reference table is available remotely, that I wanted to get to the local server where SSIS is running. In this mode, entire reference table is loaded onto the cache during the pre-execution time. Pre-execution time means before, data loading. So you have to get all the data from the remote server and locally wherever SSIS is there, and I wanted to keep there. And this approach uses the most memory and adds additional startup time, because I don't have any kind of a thing to do, because already my package is configured for the full cache mode. So this is what will happen as soon as you click on start. So it is not going to do anything. First it will go to the reference table. Wherever it is there, it is going to get, and locally it is going to keep. So here lookup will not swap memory. If I don't have enough memory in my laptop, and if you are giving, say, to some 2 GB or 3 GB of data or 4 GB of data for the reference table, to accommodate, I have to have enough memory in my cache. Otherwise, what's going to happen? It is not going to load all the data. It is going to fail. Okay, so lookup operations will be very, very fast during the execution time. So this is what is called lookup cache, so full cache. So when we have to go in for the full cache means when we access the large portion of the reference table, and here need to have a large of huge memory, takes extra pre-execution time, and when data base of the reference table is removed or under heavy load. So if the reference table is local server, I need not worry whether it is a full cache or no cache, doesn't matter there. But definitely when the reference table is in the remote server and SSIS package in running in on some other server, so definitely it will be useful for you. So try to understand. So if now in my demo, I'm able to create the package and the reference table, everything in my local system only. There is no need a full cache or no cache here. There is no meaning at all. But when the full cache, when the reference table is in your laptop, you're in, say somewhere in New Zealand or UK or US, and I'm here, and I wanted to get your data and I wanted to compare with some source data, definitely the full cache would be added advantage for your package. Remember this, okay? Now, so now what is going to happen? All the data from the reference table will be loaded to the cache, and the comparison would be happening from the source to my cache. Okay, source to my cache, and again the story is the same: matched rows and unmatched rows. That is what is called, we have to talk about lookup cache options. The next option we have to understand is that partial cache. So in this mode, the lookup cache starts with empty at the beginning. So let us understand it diagrammatically so that it will be very clear to understand. So let me have a source here. I have some data, and this is my, say, lookup, and this is my destination. Okay. So I have some, let me take, so this is my, okay. So now this is my lookup transformation. and I wanted to have a some cache here. So let me put, this is my source and this is my, say, cache. Okay, and this is my destination. Okay, now let us think we have some data and say we have some employee ID, then we have employee names, and we have some department ID, something like this. So one we have, then A, then 10, and you have 2, and B, or let us say some, he's also working for 10, and you have 3, and C, you're working for say 20, and 4, D is also working for say 30, and 5, I have some data. Okay, E is working for 20, something like this. So this is my data, and let me create a reference table. See, in the reference table, let us going to have some data here. I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. You have some data. Now, what is going to happen if you use full cache mode? Entire So if you use full cache mode, what is going to happen? All these entries are going to be cached here. So this is what is going to happen when you're talking about a full cache mode, because as soon as you start the running the package, all the data from the reference table will be cached locally to the lookup cache. Now what is going to happen then later, the comparison between this and this would happen. So the comparison between this and this would happen. So this is what is the full cache mode. So to load all this data, it will take a minimum some say 1 hour or half hour, whatever the time it's going to take, that's going to take. The first one is that it is going to load all the data. So this is loading the first option. Then second one is comparing. So this is what you have to understand whenever we're thinking about the full cache. But the problem is that I don't want to take all the data, because anyhow I have to take 10, 20, 30. But here I have a large amount of data. I am not consuming all the data from the reference table for the comparison. When you see here, when you see the distinct values, you have only 30% of the rows you wanted to use. So I wanted to use a second option that is called partial cache. When you go here, full cache means all the reference table data will get, loaded. But why should I load all the data from the reference table? Because anyhow, I'm not going to, use in my system, because in the source system is having only limited data and reference table has every data. So I wanted to go in for the partial cache. So when you go in for the partial cache, what's going to happen? You're not going to take all these numbers, because you need 10 and 20 and the 30. Only the portion of the data. Partial cache means what? You don't need all entries from the reference table. Only the portion of the data you wanted to catch, or you wanted to cache from the reference table. So now what is going to happen when you're thinking about partial cache? Let us understand. Okay, this is part, only the partial cache we're talking about, right? So in this partial cache, let us understand what's going to happen. Let us read this. In this mode, the lookup cache starts with empty at the beginning. When a new row comes in, lookup transform checks its cache for the matching values. If no match is found, it queries the reference table. If the match is found at the reference table, the value are cached, so they can be used for the next time a matching row comes in. So advantages are less memory, pre-execution time will be less. Disadvantages, lookup operations would be slower, as you will most likely be hitting the database more often. Let us understand what's going to happen. Now, it will read a row first. So let me just go here. The step number one is it's going to read one row first. So this is step number one. Reading is the thing. So when it reads, afterwards it will go 10, you have a 10 here, but 10, is it there in the cache or not? It checks. So step number 2 is it checks here. So checks in this, whether we have 10 is there or not, or 10 is not available. So when it checks, you may have 10 yes, or you may have no. There are two options, right? So when you go to the cache and checks, you may have 10 here, or you may have 10. 10 is not there. If the 10 is not there, then it will go and check the reference table. So the third step would be, it goes to the reference table and checks whether you have 10 is there or not. So this is the third. Then it checks here. Okay. If it is there, yes, then there is no problem, use it. So it checks, but it isn't there. So when it's not there, what's going to happen? It is going to go to the reference table and checks. So this is what you have to understand. It checks in the reference table. Okay. If it is available in the reference table, then what is going to happen? If available, here also you may be having yes or no also. Okay. So the 10 may be there, 10 may not be there. If the 10 is not there, leave it. So if the 10 is there, and here you may have again it is there or it is not there. No means simply exit. So yes means you have to load the 10 to the cache. So yes means what we're talking about, you have to load to cache. So this is what going to happen. Okay. Now since you have 10 here, the 10 will be loaded there. Are you getting my point? So this is what would happen. Read arrow, and I'm having 10 here, and it checks whether we have 10 or not. If it is there, leave it. So comparison would happen. 10 and 10 will happen. The matching entries will go to the destination. So it will read next. And now also you have 10. The cached, 10 can be used again. So the second row also would go to the destination. It read third 20. 20 is not here. 20 is here. Yes, 20 is here. So the 20 will be loaded here. Okay, the 20 is going to cache it, and it will take a 3C20 and 20. The data would go to the destination, and it will read the next row 40 30. 30 is not there, so 30 is it here? Yes, it is here. So that will get loaded. So like that, it is going to load one by one, one by one, one by one, and it will load. Then it will read next row, that is 5E20. 20 is already cached. So then it's going to keep it there. So the package execution is over. 10, 20, 30 only cached. Remaining data is not cached. So are you able to get? So this is what is called partial cache. Okay. So in the partial cache, you don't want to use all the data from the reference table for your comparison, for your lookup operations. And if you wanted to, gain the time and advantage like this, then definitely you have to go in for the partial cache. So whenever creating a designing a lookup, you have to understand what kind of a data the customer is having in the reference table, and whether are we using complete data from the reference table or not. That kind of a knowledge you need to have whenever you're designing the package. Okay, because once you design the package and give it to the production, you cannot again go there and change these settings, because it is completely sealed and no code modifications can be done once you deploy the package to the production environment. So again, you have to get a CR, change request, from the customer. Then only you should be able to modify the changes. So this is what is the second option we're talking about. So are you clear what is a partial cache? So partial cache means I don't want to take all the data from the reference table. Now we have taken only 30% of the data here. So definitely it is going to be much more faster than the full cache. Full cache means I wanted to use all the complete reference table, that is full cache. So the last option would be, we're going to discuss about no cache. No cache means in this mode, lookup transform does not maintain any lookup cache hitting the reference table for every row. So when you have very little data, or locally you have some data and you don't want to cache anything, so then definitely you can go in for the no cache mode. So these are the three cache modes you have available in your lookup transformation. So lookup is Very, very important transformation. So whenever you work with the packages and all. Are you clear? Now, we have one more thing we have to discuss after the lookup transformation. We have some kind of an errors in SSIS packages. So whenever you got an error, so any kind of an error you may get. So common errors are there, or you may have some kind of a truncation errors are available. These errors occur because of the data type size issues. So whenever you get the error, what is going to happen? Let us understand. For example, let me give you one example. I have some data. This is my source data. I have one A10. I have 2B20. I have 1C30. I have 4D40. I have some data just like this. Okay. And say 35. Some data I have. This is my source data. And let me create my destination. Now, whenever you have the data coming from some flat file, the flat file doesn't have any kind of an issues. You may have duplicate data, any kind of a data. But think that you have a SQL table and where you have, declared a primary key there. So what is going to happen when you have a primary key here? So you will get 1A10, you will get this data, and you will get 2B20, then later the package will fail. Why the package will fail? Because this is where you're having a error. So because the destination table is having a primary key, so whatever be the reason, I have given you one reason here why the package is getting failed here. The source data itself is having a duplicate entries. Because of that, the third row could not go because of entire package got failed. So morning client comes and asks why Fall the package failed yesterday. Then you say that there is a problem in the error. There is a problem in the data. So what is the problem? It is having duplicate entries. It is not able to take the duplicate data. It is failed. Now the customer will ask you, because of one row you stopped entire a chunk of data, because you're supposed to insert or load 1 million data or 10 million data. Because of one row you stopped entire package execution. And does it make any sense? That is the question by the client. So because of one row, why are you stopping other rows to other rows? So that is the question. So when you have this kind of a situation, so because of one row, entire package execution will stop. That is the default behavior of SSIS package. Okay, but the customer may say, no, 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 you should not stop, even though there is an error there is a mismatched record there. So you have to continue further leaving that row. So there is one more option called ignore failure. Ignore failure means what? You leave that row and go ahead with the other rows. That is second option, ignore failure, when you configure like this in SSIS package. The third option would be you redirect these rows to no match output or error output. Okay. So you have to get all this data to the error output configuration, so that you should be able to put them into one more table. The table is called error rows. Okay. We can create one more destination, move that data. What is the data I'm talking about? So 1C30. This record you have to move it here, and the remaining records you should be able to move them here. So when you configure, redirect rows to error output configuration. So this is the thing we have to understand whenever you have any kind of an error. So the following are the options to configure the errors. By default, it will fail. Fail component is the default behavior. Once error occurred, data flow execution is stopped. Second, ignore failure. Data flow execution is continued with the next steps by ignoring the error. The third option would be redirect rows using red pipe. So it will put all the mismatched rows to the some other destination, and data flow execution is continued. So you have to create one more destination table called error destinations. and put it there. So when you go back to any transformation, so you will have a red pipe. Have you seen? So whenever you see a red pipe there, so it is means if you get an error, what should you do? For example, you're reading the data here, and while reading the data itself is you're not able to read one row, so or you're getting some kind of an issue with these rows. So that data I wanted to put into some more destination. So when you double click on this, you will have error output. So when you go to error output, by default it is saying if you get error in any one of the columns, so it is a common error, the truncation error. So what do you mean by truncation error? Truncation means I have the length is more in this. For example, I have a name of the employee. The name of the employee here, say character 10. Think like this. Character 10, it is taking the name of the employee. But in the destination table, unfortunately, they have declared as character, say 7. When you have more data, this is the employee name ABC. Unfortunately, we have only one letter. But when you have the 10 characters and trying to send the 10 characters here, and here it is going to fail because of the length issues. Okay, this is also one kind of an error. So whether it is a length issue or any primary key issue or foreign key issue, but end of the day it will fail. So that's what you have to understand. So whatever be the thing, you're going to get it. So simply you double click on this, you have to go to error output, and here any problem occurs, you ignore failure. You go here, ignore failure. Like that you have to configure. So if you have 1,000 columns, you cannot go row by row, row by row. So simply select all of them and come down here. See, choose the option ignore, redirect, or fail component. Choose that and apply. So all of them, and select all of them and again apply. So what is going to happen? Everything will be ignored. If you get any kind of an issues with the data, it will be ignored. Or you can say simply redirect. So here also you can say select all of them and redirect. When you say redirect, you have to drag and drop one destination. So now you have to take the red pipe and connect. So when you put the red pipe, it is going to open the same window here, and everything is redirect, and double click on this, and I'm going to the company database, create a table called say error rows. Okay, something like this. So these are the two columns are added, error code and error column. In which column you got the error and what is the code. So that is going to be there. So click on OK, click on mappings and click on OK. So this is how, if you get any kind of an issue here, and that will be redirected. Like that, you may get any kind of a double click on this. So here also you will have configure error output. So here, unfortunately, we have taken only one column, but in this also it is getting any kind of an error, and you can say ignore failure or redirect rows. So something like that you should be able to capture. Okay, so wherever you're finding the red pipe, so all of them are supporting the the this kind of a configuration options. But unfortunately, when you take some other transformation, for example, let me take sort. When you click on a sort, there is no red pipe here. When you click on, you're able to see the red pipe. When you click on this, there is a red pipe. So sort does not, have any kind of a error configurations. Sort is not provided with this red pipe, and you may have multicast also. I think multicast, some transformations. So click on this. There is no red pipe here also. Here also. So wherever red pipe is not there, it is not going to support this kind of a configuration. Clear? So this is one of the interview questions. So how do you handle the rows with errors? How do you do that? So whenever you ask this question, you have to say we have to use red pipe and configure the red pipe appropriately so that you can catch all these error data separately into separate destination tables, and the customer needs the data you should be able to send them. This is what is the configuration we have to think about it. Now, the next one we have to discuss, we discussed already lookup. So now let us understand fuzzy lookup. Lookup search for exact match. Fuzzy lookup search for close match. Now, this performs data cleansing tasks such as standardizing data, correcting data, and providing missing values. It uses fuzzy matching to return one or more close matches from the reference table. It supports Unicode, non-Unicode strings. So because it is block transformation, it always works on the uh, string data only. It could be Unicode data, non-Unicode data. Unicode means international languages, non-Unicode means purely English. Okay, so fuzzy lookup, let us understand what is the purpose for this. Now, when you take this, I have some data in the flat file, and this is my flat file, and I am applying a fuzzy lookup and sending the data, and this is my reference table. I have city ID Chennai and two Vizag, city some Hyderabad. Unfortunately, this is the correct spelling and the source data the customer is giving some wrong entries because there is a misspelled data being given by customer. So when I compare Hyderabad with which this Hyderabad, it is not going to taken by the lookup. So when you apply a lookup on this and try to perform a lookup operation, when you perform a lookup operation, it is going to check for the 100% match. So, but definitely this is having a misspelled data. But how do you gather misspelled data? Definitely lookup will reject these entries and it is going to put all these entries into the unmatched records wherever there is a spelling mistake. Exact matches will be taken by the lookup. But what customer also says, but wherever there is a spelling mistake, Bhaskar, you take that data also consider that is also Hyderabad, but only small spelling mistake is there. What is it? Instead of HYD, there is a HDY. So this DY and YD, there is a spelling mistake here. When you apply a fuzzy lookup, what is going to happen here? It is not 100% similarity. So you have to configure a value called similarity threshold value. Lookup will go for 100% matching. Fuzzy lookup, you have to configure the value. What is the configuration value I'm putting here? If it is matching 70%, so look, take this as a Hyderabad only. Or if it is matching, say 40% or 80%, you consider this spelling as Hyderabad spelling only. So that value, fuzzy means not 100%. So not 100% close match. It is 80 to 90% or more similar. Okay, so close match. So this is what you have to understand. So using the fuzzy lookup, you should be able to get the misspelled data that you should be able to correct it. So what is the purpose of a fuzzy lookup means you can correct the misspelled data. Otherwise, when you use a lookup transformation is not going to catch this data. So all this data will go to the misspelled data, go to the unmatched records. So now take all the unmatched records and you have to give it to fuzzy lookup. And here you have to configure if it is matching 20%, 30% or 40%, then you consider this as a Hyderabad and move all this data to Hyderabad only. So that is what is called fuzzy lookup transformation I'm talking about. Fuzzy means what? Not exactly. That is what you have to understand. Let me also create one reference table to create this demo. Now, so let me, so execute. I have the city and let me take a new package. Demo number 12 and let me drag and drop, go to data flow and click on this. Automatically you will have data flow task here. And let me take one source file. So as a flat file source, or you may take Excel source, anything is fine. Double click on this and the flat file source. Let me take the file. We have, employee fuzzy lookup source is available. Click on that. I have some data where I had this kind of a misspelled data is available there. So I'm planning to take this, and this is my data. So employee ID, name, city. Click on OK. Now drag and drop fuzzy lookup transformation, which is not there in the common transformation. Go to other transformation. You have fuzzy lookup and fuzzy grouping. So let me take fuzzy lookup transformation and double click on this, and let me create a reference table. So company database, and there is a reference table called employee city, and go to the columns. Now here this city and this city I'm going to take, and if you wanted to take this city and check this, so this city you're getting from the reference table. So put reference here. So this city you're getting from the source table. And when you go to the advanced tab, it is giving you similarity threshold. How much is the similarity you wanted to find out? I am putting some say 0.76 or 0.7. So if it is matching at least 70% or 0.7%, you treat this as Hyderabad only. So save this and go here and OLEDb destination and put this. That's it. So when you go here, the step number 1 reference table, step number 2 put this column, step number 3 you have to put the similarity threshold value, and double click on this, and company database only. I wanted to have FZ lookup, something like this, the name of the table, fuzzy lookup destination table and the mappings, and click on OK. Save and execute the package. So all data went there. So stop and go here and FZ lookup and simply execute. Now you're able to understand. So this is where similarity is 1. 1 means 100% similarity. There is no problem at all. But when you see here, this is the source data and this is the reference table data. Now you have 0.77 is a similarity. So it would have some kind of an algorithm internally SSIS package is using, and based on that it is giving you this is a similarity. And wherever you don't have any matched records in the reference table, it is giving you null values. Okay, because I don't have the Pune in the reference table, it is simply creating a null. Okay, like that you should be able to get the misspelled data also to the destination with the help of fuzzy lookup. So always we have to apply lookup and then apply the fuzzy lookup, because fuzzy lookup is very costly operation. That's what you have to understand. Fuzzy lookup is costly operation. First apply lookup, then go in for fuzzy lookup. Returns null if it finds no match, and let's say block a transformation. So one sorting is block transformation, and fuzzy lookup is also block transformation. So this you have to understand. Now we have one more with the fuzzy only, that is fuzzy grouping transformation. This performs the data cleansing tasks by identifying rows of data that are likely to be duplicates. It's also block transformation. Example, to identify social security on number cards, duplicate ration cards or PAN cards, Aadhaar cards, and whatever you for example you're applying for some kind of a social security number second time or a voter ID second time, and they should be able to identify whether you have taken twice or only once. So to identify the duplicate data, you have to use fuzzy grouping transformation, and the fuzzy lookup transformation is used to identify, to correct the misspelled data. So let us understand how fuzzy grouping, can be used to identify the, issues. For example, you apply some kind of a card. So you may have card number, and you have the name of the person, and the date of birth of the person, and the father name of the person, and city in which you applied for some, say, some voter ID. Okay, so Something like that, you're able to do it here. Now, you applied a card number, say 1, 2, 3, 4, that is the card number. Say name is ABC and date of birth 21 to 19, 1980, something like this. You're having the date of birth and the father name is say XYZ and the city say some ZZZ. So in this city you applied something and you transfer to some other city. Again you're trying to apply for the card. You got one more card and your name cannot change and your date of birth also cannot change. Your father name cannot change. Everything will be the same. But now you went to some city called DDD. Clear? So this is the data the government of US or UK or India is storing for you. So they wanted to verify whether are there any duplicate cards have been issued to the same guy. Now when you see, when you compare entire row with this row, these rows are not 100% similarity. But when you take only this portion and when you take this portion and compare, because name of the person, date of birth, father name of the person cannot change whether you apply the card here or whether you apply card in any other city. For example, ration cards people would apply, but when you apply the card here you will get some kind of a the numbers are different for the cards and city. You will maybe in Hyderabad city or some Vizag city, you will be having the card numbers and the cities, but remaining data is the same. So 100% row is not matching. So it is 80% of the row is matching or 70% of the row is matching. Fuzzy means I told you not 100%. It is more exact, more close matches. Okay, not 100%. So this kind of a grouping is known as a fuzzy grouping. Fuzzy grouping is going to group not 100% similarity. It is going to group if it is matching 60%, 70% also, it is going to tell you that these are likely to be duplicate data. Okay, so this is what other people would use fuzzy grouping techniques to compare at least similar data. If it is there, it will give you that this could be a duplicate data in this data set. Clear? So to identify the duplicate cards and everything, people are going to use fuzzy grouping transformations. Now we can also have a small demo on this to remove duplicate data. So let me uh, before doing that, let us understand. So use fuzzy lookup to remove the misspelled data and use fuzzy grouping to remove duplicate data, because you have to identify whether you have duplicates or not. If you have duplicates, you have to remove them. So this is one of the interview questions. So how do you write SQL queries to remove the duplicate data is one of the interview common question asked. Or how do you use SSIS package to remove the duplicate data when you have duplicates? For example, in my situation, for example, I have lots of duplicate data here. So you should be able to remove this kind of hits here. You have duplicates, but you should be able to remove them. So let us understand how we can remove the duplicate data with the help of this guy. So take one more demo. Quickly, let us do that and go here. So I have a table called a test table. I have some data here. So go to data flow and drag and drop OLEDb source, double click on this and go to the company, or you may go to any other database and choose here test. This is my data. I have some duplicate data we have here. So let us understand how we can rectify the duplicates. So go here, and when you go to other transformations, you have fuzzy grouping transformation. Just take this, double click on this. Specify the connection manager to be used storing the temporary tables that are transformation uses. So you may give company here or you may give any other database also fine here. It is going to store some data temporary purpose. That is step number 1. go to columns. So this is the data I wanted to pass. So it is going to use some kind of a fuzzy technique to compare each and every record, and go to, don't do anything here, go to simply advanced tab, and here also it is checking if it is 80% is matching, it is going to group. Okay, so it need not be 100% here, and it is going to put three columns extra there: key in, key out, and score. So these are important columns. So I did not do anything. Give the connection here and check the column here, and where you want to perform duplicates and everything here. The similarity threshold you can adjust if you want to, otherwise leave it as just. So key in, key out, score. Let us understand what is this columns. So click on OK. Now when you see the data here, so this is my data. So take the data, copy with headers. Let me go to Excel sheet. Let me put it here. You have a name and one more column it is going to create, that is called key in, and one more column it is going to create key out, and score also. Score, as of now, forget about it. So it is going to take all the data, and all the data it is going to place in the company database, and it is going to create key in and key out and score columns also. So what is a key in and what is a key out, let us understand. So this is your data, and the key in is automatic number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is completely a serial number. So that is what is the key in. So next, what is going to happen in the this one? It is going to group, and within the group, what is the smallest number in this? The smallest number is 1, and that will be given here, 1 and 1. And for this same group, and here, what is the smallest number? That is 3. The 3 will be given here and 3 will be given here. And for the John, the smallest number is 5. And for the Bhaskar, the smallest number is 6 only. So this is how the key in and key out. Okay. So this is one group because we have duplicates. This is one group and this is one group and one group. So now what we have to take, wherever key in equals to key out, take only that data. So we have to take this data and this data and this data and this data. So we have to write a logic saying that wherever key in is equals to key out, you have to take out that data only, so that you will get without duplicates. Because 2 and 1 is not equal. So 4 and 3 is not equal. So automatically one Ram and one Lata will be left, and remaining data you should be able to take it. So this is what you have to understand, and go here. And for eliminating data, normally we use conditional split transformation and execute. Double click on this. You write key in equals to key out. Okay. When you say key in and key out, you will be able to get the complete data. So put it here and take one destination. Says equals our destination. So go here. So what data you wanted to send? I wanted to send case 1 data, that is without a duplicates. So double click on this and go to company database. Now I am planning to give the employee data. Okay. So employee data I wanted to have. So click on mappings. Now save and execute. Now out of 6 rows, you are able to see only 4 rows here, and you should be able to see employee data, right? So this is the one. You should be able to get Ram, Lata, John, Bhaskar, and you have key in and key out 3, 3, 5, and 6. However, we are able to see 1 and 1. So this is the best logic to identify the duplicates. So give the serial number and you have to group whatever the minimum value, that minimum value will be allocated to this group. And for in this group, what is the minimum value 3? The minimum value will be allocated to this group. So wherever the key in is equals to key out, only take out that data. Remaining data, you just leave it as it is. Okay. Now, even though you take lots of data here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, lots of data I'm inserting. So the source is having much more data, but even though you're having much more data, so let me delete all this data. Okay. Now let me execute the package. You have 42 rows, but you have 4 rows at the end. So like that, end of the day, you will be able to get only the without a duplicate data. So you should be able to remove the duplicates with the help of fuzzy grouping and everything. Okay. Are you clear? So use fuzzy lookup to remove misspelled data. Use fuzzy grouping to remove duplicate data. So this is what is the thing. Then we have OLEDb command transformation. This is used to execute SQL commands in data flow. This is similar to execute SQL task in the control flow. It performs row by row operations and it is slow. Now, when you go here, so I have when you go to the control flow, there is a task called execute SQL task. Can perform any kind of a did SQL statements you can run in this. You can call stored procs and everything. But when you go to the data flow, that is not there. But how do I run the SQL commands if I wanted to run some SQL commands here? Here we have a transformation called OLEDb command transformation runs SQL statements also. So this is also similar to execute SQL task only, but execute SQL task can perform batch operations. Batch means it can take at a time 20, 30,000 rows at a time, it can perform on that. But whereas OLEDb command transformation, it is a row by row transformation. It can work at a time on the single row. So it is a row by row operation. So it will be a bit slower and comparatively execute SQL task. So execute SQL task is part of control flow. OLEDb command is part of data flow. So both of them can do same tasks. Okay, that is it can work with any SQL commands. You can call stored proc, you can call update, insert any command, you can have it here. Clear? So tomorrow when we come, we're going to discuss about some more things. Is it fine? Tomorrow we have class guys. So any questions? Is it fine? So now
No, Bhaskar.